Alright, g'day everybody, hope you're all well. You're listening to the Forbidden History Chronicles, and I'm seeing thumbs up everywhere, so that's a good thing. It almost didn't want to start tonight, but we're good to go, I think, I hope. Anyway, I'll read the introduction and we'll get on with it. Okay, this is written by Dezert-Owl from the Forbidden History series YouTube channel. He's a regular guest on NinjaCat 111, which is me. Anyway, the signs of the times. In essence, Desert discusses the history of the world and how the unseen hand has been running it from the very beginning of time. Who they are and how they have founded all of the first great civilizations that are found all around the world, about who the giants really were, and the ancient Aryan caste and slave systems, the priesthoods, the anti-gravity V-manners, the earth-based misnomered UFOs which are man-made, the control of all forms of communications, commerce, religion, mass media, pseudo-politics, etc. It is the grand deception that is used to control all of mankind, and all instituted through the three main religions of the world in particular, used as their grand cover. Their cyber code has been revealed to him because Desert has become adept within the study of the ancient alphabets, communications, symbolism, religion, custom, law, cosmology, and mythology. Not to mention the fallacy of today's political science and pseudoscience in particular. He can also define the true nature of their warfare, their shell game of bringing one civilization up for their temporary use and then taking it down for the next 500-year generational cycle, as symbolized by the classical phoenix. He discusses the ultimate in mind control and ancient art, and the financial control, the secret societies and their blood occult rituals, and how they wage all wars throughout all time, through the nations that they have created, which are all imaginations, plantations, and mere corporations. They have taken blood oaths to surrender their self-will and mind to their blind goddess, who has demanded our blood from the very beginning of time. They communicate to their minions through movies, TV, and print media, while he can see, read, and interpret most all of it. It all says that they are using us for our ingenuity, for our collective constructive labour, for experimentation, and in the end they intend to kill us all. They have given us full notice of what they are doing, and what they fully intend to do, while all of the general population, the sheeple, they merely go there to be entertained. The New World Order is the old world order from the beginning of time. There is a major cosmic natural disaster that is about to happen on Earth, and they know it. But they are cleverly leaving us in the dark, hence the reason that they have built hundreds of underground bases all around the world, while they are leaving all of the people to remain unprepared, uninformed, and above ground, so that when it comes, the mere 5% who will survive above ground will die from the weaknesses and disease that has been generated from all of the poisons that they have been feeding us, from the chemtrails to fluoride in the water, to tainted vaccines, to fake food, etc., etc. They have enslaved us all by the clever means of deception, because we, most all, are their cattle, chattel, property, and because they merely wanted to harness our labour, what they always needed, which is what backs most of the world's currency through the birth certificate. But they are all through with us now. It is written in stone, as it can be seen written in the Georgia Guidestones. To know the truth is to be empowered and to be prepared. We may not be able to stop what has been done and what is about to happen, but the innocent and decent people on planet Earth deserve to know. And that was written by Dezert-Owl, who I'd like to introduce. Hi Desert, how's it going?
Good day, Ninja. Good to be here. Thank you for being so diligent and wanting to spread information that's not prevalent out there to some degree. yes, but as you know, that we talk about some things that nobody else talks about, or in a way that nobody else is talking about it. And
Yeah.
so I'm glad that somebody has eyes and ears to see and hear with, because it's been a long journey for me to try to even be able to be in a position to explain a lot of the things I've been seeing myself that Yeshua has revealed to me, which is not a private interpretation, but is interpretation for everyone. What it is, the old classic saying is, what it is what it is, and we have to be able to pierce the veil and see clearly through the illusions and the reality that is being expressed within the metaphors and symbols of nature. And symbols are to be interpreted. They're a higher adic form of communication by the Great Spirit and life. And so those are the type of things that we talk about here today. And being the Saturnalia, and a lot of people wanting to give gifts as a matter of custom, and just repeating the traditions that have been handed to them by their parents, and they don't know what they're doing or why they're doing it, only because it appears good on the surface. But of course, if it's founded upon a lie, then maybe things that are behind it are very sinister. But I thought, with people giving out gifts as the premise of their of this time of year, that there's no better gift than to define and to know who we really are,
Yeah.
In this cosmic order, so that we can then possibly be set free from the illusions. So I wanted to start with a read out of the Dictionary of Myths and Scriptures when we start, and then I listened to the opener again, and I picked up where we left off. It's on the cyber code, so I have some cyber codes that I can share as well as part two. So is there anywhere you want to go first before we take off?
I don't know where to fit in what I want to talk to you about. Maybe I'll let you go first. And
yeah, then you can break, because I'll need a break at that point, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We'll do that. We'll let you go
so
first.
Let's open up with about who we really are. Let me go to the book, and it's called, as you know, I read the alphabet every day, one letter, then I go to the next letter, and I continue to work my way through this massive dictionary of scriptures and myths from around the world. The main ones that are most important in here are, of course, based on the Christian theme, but there's a universal truth that's prevalent within all of religious culture. And the priesthood, as we talked about them yesterday, the Luciferians are the best at conveying the truth, even though they're not going with the truth. They're just putting on the light. Lucifer clothes herself in light, and she knows the scriptures as well as we do, if not better. In many respects, of course, they have also the original copies to some degree. As I say, the originals have been destroyed, but they somehow, have original. They certainly know the diction, the code itself. They know the code, so they know the original truth. That maybe is another way to say it. So anyway, this is called the image of God. Of course, God is a code. It is one of the ultimate cyber codes, and I don't use the word God because, and of course, priesthood is backwards in there, and that's dog. But and God, who is God, and he's odd. If you drop the D's, he's a little odd because it is the Pope, and that he's an odd-looking character, to say the least, with his had a day gone on, which is another word for dragon, the dragon, but it's really, that's another cover for the serpent. And so these are all the different layers of the imagery. Also in the Babylonian reliefs, we can see the Pope from back then wearing a fish. He's got a fish, body of a fish on him, and his head wrapped around and with scales, so they want it, so it's either going to be a fish or a dragon, but it's really the serpent. They're not going to tell you. Remember, they lie to you about the symbols.
So is that why? Sorry. Is that why I see bumper stickers with the fish symbol? that's where that comes
Well, that's
from.
interesting. Yeah, yeah, that's an interesting point, and most Christians associate that with somehow that was a secret symbol to say you were Christians, but I don't accept that myself. I conclude because see they also outlawed Mithraism at that time because it went underground, and they morphed the Christianity into Mithraism basically, but the secret societies, it was really a secret society
Okay.
symbol, which represented, of course, the serpent. The fish represented the serpent, and it was a serpent cult. I feel that the spirit didn't need that type of an action in order to communicate with one another. That you could say something,
Yeah.
and get to know who's who and who's what, you know. But we weren't there, so we can never state one way or another that it's a fact because we're too far removed. I certainly don't have any written evidence, that elaborates on that, but that's been my view based on my study of the ancient past and knowing how they say one thing when they're presenting it to us, but it's really another thing.
Yeah.
And so that, that's been the pattern all along. So just like God is not who we want to serve because God is man and God is the Pope, and we want. So the original word was Elohim is the corrupted form. It's the abbreviated form, and it's Ulavhaim, and there's the vision for love. A literal sense would be the vision for love, Haim of the many, the breath of the many, the vision for a love and breath for many. That's the literal sense of the graphic, the symbols, which we can go into any of these when we talk about the code in a little while. But so I wanted to read this because it took me 2 days. I did it in part because I have so many books I'm reading, but I felt that today this would be important to read. We talk about a lot of dark stuff, but like I said, with people giving gifts, there's no better gift that we could give ourselves than to finally define who we really are within this universe, because we can't go home if we can't define who we are.
Yeah.
And so these are a variety of quotes. These are quotes and scriptures from a variety of sources. And remember, even the false traditions are conveying the truth. In Egypt, the people felt they were following a benevolent tradition. The people, not the priesthood, but the people. And so, most people, when they hear something like the Book of the Dead, they get hung up on it, thinking, it's got to be as bad as all nightmares. And the Book of the Dead was about living a pure path. You see,
Really,
and
really.
and putting your And there was the scales. When you confront the end of your ego, then when you're going to die, then they put your a feather in one side of the scales, and your heart is in the other. And if the heart is heavier than the feather, you're not going where you'd want to go. These are so the priesthood was compelling the citizenry, to be benevolent and good, and so all of their iconography, their symbolism was telling them to put on the light. They were embracing the light of the sun as the great dual of Haim, as the logo. So there's nothing different in the metaphors and symbols in the Egyptian mythology than within our mythos. And in fact, see, that's why, if you remember the story of the Exodus, what happened just before they left? That all the women borrowed the gold from the Egyptian women. All the Hebrew women borrowed the gold from the Egyptian women. What was that all about? What did that symbolize? The gold? And the Egyptian women were happy to give them the gold. So what does the gold symbolize? Gold symbolizes the essence of life. It's the most precious thing that is valued on the planet, other than truth itself. And so from an exoteric standpoint versus esoteric. So what does the gold represent? It represents their mythos, their mythology. You see? So what was happening was, what Yahweh was saying when we get the picture, is now we're going to establish a culture, the Hebrew race. All the iconography, all the imagery are going to be an archetype and a parallel to what your archetype and iconography is like in Meitar, in Egypt. And so the mythology is the same, you see, about creation, about transcendence. And so, you know, like you may have heard about Hammurabi. Hammurabi received the 12 commandments on a mountain 400 years before Moses did, right?
Okay, that's why we see parallels and repeating patterns in everything going
all the cultures,
way
all
back.
The cultures.
Yes.
Every culture.
That's
every
how we
culture
can
had
find
its own
the
savior.
Yeah, that's how we can find the core of truth in each one.
Right. In other words, the Watchers who fell, the Vekoresh who fell, knew the theme, just like we find it written in the Book of Enoch, that at the end of time a Redeemer would come. So what the Vekoresh did, the Watchers did, they said, well, you don't have to wait for your Savior. We'll create one now. And your Savior is here. It's Osiris. In Egypt, it's Osiris, Meitar. In Rome, it was Apollo. In Greece, it was Zeus. In Babylon, it was Nimrod. In India, it was Shiva and Krishna. You know, and all these archetypes that are being put in our face. And so they are all saying the same message, basically. So what the message was when now we're going to borrow your gold, what you value as being precious to you, we are now going to take the same pictures and change their faces and their color and their aura a little bit, but yet it will still be it will be your gold, will be our gold. And remember that the Old Covenant people were in a false tradition as well. In other words, they fell, didn't they? They did not transcend. They were annihilated because they were of the earth. They were in the archetypal period prior to the Redeemer revealing the truth. The truth came through Yeshua. So all the other traditions were simply giving us archetypes of truth, but we're not actually in the truth. Yet people could transcend in any period of time, in any culture, anywhere. Because if somebody would purify their heart, and their mind and their actions, then naturally the Great Spirit would accept them. Just like the traditional Native Americans who lived in teepees talked about the happy hunting ground. They knew that there was the story of the twin, of the duplicate, and they go on their vision quest when they become a young man or woman, and then they come back with a new name. And as it even says in Proverbs, a good name, a new name is better to be chosen than the wealth of the world. So and then it says in Revelations, I will give you a new name. You see, so all of these qualities and patterns are found. In fact, when the Algernon John in Revelation says, and I heard the voice that spoke with me, that was like the voice on the many waters. That's exactly what I'm saying. You see, the voice that was speaking to him was the same voice that was upon the many waters. The many waters were all the different cultures. It was the same voice. The voice was speaking through the false priesthood about benevolence and about right. You see, they put on the light. They look pretty good, but when you look in the back room of the priesthood, you find out that they're a bunch of scumbags.
Yeah.
But yet the message that they were conveying to the people to fool them. In other words, you be passive, you be peaceful, don't rock the boat, be good, and while the priesthood is all corrupt.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Hypocrites.
having a party.
Yeah.
So they get people to be good passive slaves and to follow orders. That's how they do it.
Without leading
and
by
they
example.
them to go into a confessional box and tell all their secrets to some guy in a confessional box, so that he knows everybody in the community and exactly who to manipulate and what who to take advantage of.
Yeah.
Or who's involved in any activity they can blackmail them for. Boy, it's quite a deal. Imagine being in a box and getting everybody in the community confessing to you. Whoa, what a trip that must be, huh? So anyway,
if you're into that sort of thing, yep.
Yeah. We can be in the image of the great Will of Fame, and because we are in the image of the great Will of Fame, and so this is how it reads. Okay, this expression signifies the image of God, which is the image of Elohim, or we could also say the image of the Logo. The Logo is the sun. We are made in the image of the sun. which is the light. We are made by light. We're a product of light, and we come from the ultimate light of Yahweh. But it is through the great Elohim. The Elohim is Elohim in the corrupted form, and it is all of illuminated creation that belongs to Yahweh, including his son Yeshua. Hang on. I know I go fast, but we cover a lot of ground.
Yeah.
You may want to bill me as the guy who gets out more words per hour than any other guest or host, because I've got too much to say and too little time to get there. It's always been a problem of mine.
It's all good, Desert.
So you can play it back, anybody can play it back.
Yeah, we'll squish in as much as we can, as often as we can.
So, right here. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, the expression signify a projection of divine nature on the two highest planes of the shul, of the soul, and constitutes, when united with mind, the archetypal man, energizing as love and wisdom. That's Atma Buddha. And the great Elohim breathed, let us make man, but man is creation, it's corruption and it's creation. So it's really, let us make creation in our image and after our likeness. There's Yahweh speaking with Yeshua as the great Elohim. See, it's plural. Let us make creation. Let us make man in our image. There's Yahweh, the Father and the Son, from the very beginning. Okay? And our likeness. So all of creation. It wasn't just man. See, that was the cover. They didn't want us to realize that they made all of creation in their image with their voice. See, and their light.
Yeah. Wow.
Their qualities, more correctly, their qualities of perfection. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm just wowing.
Okay.
I've got something prepared, but I'll let you go for a while first.
All right.
Yeah.
And so let them have dominion over everything. And so, the plant life has dominion over the land. The fish have dominion over the sea. But at the highest level, we have dominion over the entire earth. So there's all different levels of dominion, right? And the spirit has dominion over all creation. So we could look at it on a level, multi-level tier, but man is the highest in creation. Yet he's not fulfilled because he is still in the lower darkness, of creation, and needs to come up into the light and to be born again in the metaphor, or twice born a second time. And so the great Elohim created the blood of the earth in his own image, in the image of the great Elohim, the Logos. He created him, male and female, and created them. That's Genesis 1:26 and 27. At the stage of involution, the divine nature projects a likeness of itself upon the highest planes. This is the divine ray or spark, which is a direct emanation of the Logo. Atma Buddha, dual male-female, and consciously spoken of as us. Okay, that's us. We have both the male and female in us. Only one is projecting itself. So you are projecting the female. I'm projecting the male. But yet the elements of both the male and female are within us. And that's why in some of the scriptures it talks about us becoming one or whole.
Wow,
neither male nor female.
Sorry, you just answered one of my questions I was waiting to ask. Just wow, thank you.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right, you're welcome.
Yeah.
The two divine aspects united are essential in making a blood of the earth or man as a spiritual being. The love, the divine love and wisdom principles, Atma Buddha, united in mind, manas, or mana, are to have dominion over the feelings, ideas, action, and entire nature, including the lower mental nature. And so the divine will cause to be created the archetypal blood of the earth, man, in the image or microcosm of the divine fullness, the macrocosm, as the dual expression of truth, wisdom. New quote. Blood of the earth, man, made after the image of the great Elohim, is the word of God, or the Eshavor of the great Elohim, the first beginning of all things, the original species or archetypal idea, the first measure of the universe. That's Philo, out of works, the works of Philo. He was the ultimate definer of all the symbolism within the Old Covenant and, of course, Christianity as well. So he was a friend of Yeshua, lived in Alexandria, and saved his life once in the temple when the priests wanted to kill him. We'll be back on Philo once I get back up and running. So what is this image of the Great Pool of Haim? It is the mind of the Great Pool of Haim, or Yahweh. For the Mashiach, Christ, is that mind, or a Shavor word, to rule in us. The blood of the earth is Mashiach, the perfect mind of Yahweh, at least we're supposed to be. This blood of the earth was created, male and female, so that he might be a perfect image of the Great Pool of Haim and Yahweh. Yahweh is infinite wisdom and love. No image of him would be complete which did not express both. Ajux, types of Genesis. But all Father mind, being life and light, did bring forth blood of the earth co-equal to himself, with whom he fell in love, as being his own child. For he is beautiful beyond compare, the image of his sire, Hermetic. This image of God, this image of the Great Pool of Haim, which is found in all blood of the earth, the symbol is light, the logo, the sun, and may be considered under three aspects. First, in this creation, as natural aptitude for loving and comprehending the Great Pool of Haim, which belongs to nature, the nature of the mind, and is common for all blood of the earth. Secondly, as actual and habitual knowledge and imperfect love, which is conformity of the favor for all, grace. And thirdly, as that perfect love and knowledge which constitute the pure image of the Great Pool of Haim in a state of illumination. The first is in all blood of the earth, the second in the just, and the third in the endowed and enlightened. The image of the Great Pool of Haim is in blood of the earth, is according to the divine nature, and the triune of character, Mother, Father, Son, Father, Son, Spirit, inasmuch as the Great Pool of Haim, three characters exist in one nature, Thomas Aquinas. In every department of being where the imperfect is found, the perfect also pre-exists. As the shul, the soul, is said to be of the breath of Yahweh, so it is breathed to be made after the Great Pool of Haim's own image, even after the similarity of Yahweh. This character of the only true anointed breath, the Holy Ghost, in the Shultres, the scriptures of truth, given only of blood of the earth, man, of the shul of man, the soul of man, for it must not be thought that the body is here intended in whole or in part. J. Bunyan, Greatness of the Shul, John Bunyan. He wrote Pilgrim's Progress. The Platonists called Dionysius our mother star, for the mind in the Dionysical and the image of Dionysius, Proculus. This may be explained, next quote, this may be explained in the words of Toller, where he speaks of the unseen depths of blood of the earth spirit, wherein lies the image of the Great Pool of Haim. A conception which pervades the Midrash literature is that there is an upper and a lower Adam, a celestial blood of the earth made strictly in the image of the Great Pool of Haim, and a terrestrial blood of the earth, corresponding in detail to his archetype. C. Taylor, Sayings of the Hebrew Fathers. Irenaeus breathes, what we had lost in Hadam, namely our possession of the image and likeness of the great Elohim, and we lost it. It's out there every day shining for us, and we still don't get it. We recover the good news is we recover in the Mashiach, Christ. Adam, however, is humanity. In other words, as all humanity is united and renewed through the Mashiach, so also it has already summarized. It was already summarized in Adam. Histories of dogma. Wisdom, love, and truth are the principle or image of the great Tool of Haim. The shul, the soul, who perceives himself to associate with the great Tool of Haim, will have himself become the similitude of him, the one of the many. And if he passes from himself in an image to the archetype, the Mashiach, the Christ, he will then have the end of his progression, floating us on the good or the one. Because the constitution of blood of the earth in full of Haim's likeness, the blood of the earth, that is, the perfect, primordial, ideation blood of the earth, or Hadam, comprises in itself, as the similitude of great Tool of Haim, all things, and admits all things to settle, be contained or arranged in it. The life force, which speaks in the shul, the soul, in the language or diction of duty, truth, and love, must have been these things to begin with, or it could never have made us know them. And the wiser and older grows the race, the more plainly does the life force speak of these. Maybe that's why it's flowing now the way it is. The great Tool of Haim and the life force are one. To be in line with the life force of the universe, the omniverse, to do the will, perform the will of the great Tool of Haim, is to live in the Espire, the spirit of the Trevane love that seeks not its own or things for itself, but for others. And the I knows the best, who gives himself for it most with unfaltering victory of light. R.J. Campbell, Sermon, Yeshua and the Life Force. As the bird life builds up a bird, the image of itself, so the Mashiach, the Christ life, builds up a Christ, the Mashiach, the image of himself, in the inward nature of man. And he must do so. We are supposed to emulate and to put on the Mashiach. We are told that. And then we are all Mashiachs, able to help save others. That is the whole operation, which mainstream Christianity, of course, will deny. Observe. They're told they can't actually live up to the standard. That's an amazing thing. Yet Yeshua said, greater works we would do. Observe the passive voice in these sentences. Begotten of God, or engendered by the great Tool of Haim, the new blood of the earth, which is renewed in knowledge after the image of the one of the many that created him. Or this, we are changed into the same image. Or this, predestinate to be conformed to the image of his Son. H. Drummond, Natural Law, and so on. That the great Tool of Haim is the true and supreme end of blood of the earth, we know by the simple fact that the end of blood of the earth can lie only on true lines of himself, the origin of himself, the beginning where things came from. And all these lines lead directly and only to the great Elohim. There's only one truth. There's only one power. There's only one creation that has a design and a purpose. The end of his mind is truth. That's the only end there can be. The end of his feelings and of affections is love. The end of his will and activities is perfection and light. And the completeness and perfection of all these is Yahweh, who is the great Elohim. No finite spirit seeking and striving to be all itself can will or conceive for itself anything short of the infinitely true, beautiful, and perfect, infinite wisdom, virtue, enlightenment, infinite purity, perfection in the flowing light, and vivification in true life, becoming one with the one. The great Elohim, so far as we can know him, is the infinite, eternal, perfect for ourselves, as we are the finite, incomplete, and imperfect of him, waiting to grow up. If this is conceiving or creating the great Elohim in our own image, I admit it and justify it. It is the only way and form in which we can know the great Elohim at all. And it's interesting because we're made in the image, and then we make images of what we perceive to be the great Elohim or God, but yet it's always of a lesser form. We have to realize that we are the images. We are the images that are made, and that have to conform and flow into that light of perfection. But instead, we want to make other images, or we want to, put something on our body. We want to create our character, and all that nonsense that we do, when it is what we have to put within us, and what is needed is the light of truth and knowledge, enlightenment. Blood of the earth itself may be regarded as the product of countless sons of an evolutionary process, but if the evolution is to be considered from this point of view and subjected to the theory of reality, which the religious consciousness insists upon assuming, then the process is a divine procedure, and its product a divine creation. Blood of the earth evolution for religion is but the great Elohim's way of making man in the divine image. The psychological truth involved in the assumption of an essential likeness between the two, a certain oneness which accounts for the duality. This is an assumption upon which is based the very existence of religion at all. Blood of the earth makes the great Elohim in man's image. Man makes God in man's image, because the great Elohim has made blood of the earth in that divine image. Blood of the earth, as he becomes more fully man, or more fully whole, more of a rational and free character, free from the illusions, more worthily and truly conceives of the great Elohim as he truly is. But this is because the great Elohim is himself making blood of the earth more and more like himself. G.T. Ladd, Philosophy of Religion. The great work of religion is to conform ourselves to the great Elohim, or to unfold the divine likeness within us. And there you have the image of God, or the logo of the great Elohim. All goes back to the light. Back to you, Ninja.
Wow. That was amazing, Desert. Wow. it's so true. Like I'm seeing that in everything that I'm reading at the moment. Like we were saying before, how it's the same truth at the core of each, like throughout history of all the cultures, all the different cultures. Yeah, what you was when you were talking about or reading about how we are both male and female, and I'm just showing the image of the female and you're showing the image of the male. Yeah, you answered.
Wait, I hit the speaker by mistake and I didn't hear the last thing you said. Back up.
Okay.
1 second.
Yeah, how we're all both male and female, but I just look like a female and you look like a male.
In other words, when the Y chromosome came forth, it went into one of two directions, and it showed that it made a choice, and so yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, the question.
The way the biology is.
Yeah, the question that I had that you actually answered during all of that. The question that I had was, why did Yeshua come to us in the form of man? Why not woman? And it got me thinking, can you imagine a woman doing what he had to do, and then having to die on a cross? Can you imagine a female doing all of that and having the same effect as a man did? And you answered my question, because he looked like a man, but he had the love and the compassion and the softer side of a woman. Yeah. Yeah, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's correct. In fact, in the true reality, he was both male and female.
Yeah.
By physical nature, he was man, but he was female. That's why in the scriptures he was called the Ish. But the Ish is the corruption. You'll find it most clearly in the Septuagint and the footnotes. But he is the Ish means Ish is female. It's Ish. It's just an abbreviation of Isha, which correctly is Aisha, which means the royal eye of the woman. The woman is the virgin light that's flowing down. That's symbolized by Mary. So he was female in nature, but he took on the persona of the male and of the father.
Yeah.
Whereas we think of the father as being harsh and judgmental. In nature, it was the opposite reflection. It was the mother in the old world. The mother brought forth the baby, but she was the one who wanted to demand blood and wanted, not to give the baby up, and and was jealous and all these other things. And then when the father was revealed through Yeshua, it was coming in the form of a feminine quality that you just expressed very well. And so it's an opposite of the way we see things on Earth, right? In that sense, everything's in reversal.
Yeah. Wow. This just gets more and more amazing. Can I read you something?
Sure.
Because this really hit home, because it's got me wondering. I'm a little confused. That's why I said my head is spinning before the program.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just yeah. Okay, I'll read you this. It's out of. Can I bring this up yet? Yeah, I'll bring it up anyway. Does it? the Colburn. I was reading that.
Right. It's the book of Joseph of Arimathea, the great uncle of Yeshua, the uncle of Mary, the great merchant, the tin merchant, a friend of Tiberius, from the royal family of Tabat, David, and they're wealthy, and he made his wealth by bringing the mineral ore from England, in particular, to Rome, and so this was his Bible. It was preserved on bronze sheets, the product of copper and tin mixed bronze sheets, so it would never decay. And then it was handwritten by people in England in the 1800s, in particular, when it was rediscovered, and it was almost destroyed. I don't know if it still exists in the copper sheets or not, but there are some photographs of it as well. But yeah, the Colburn.
Okay. Yeah, in chapter, hang on. Oh, it's in chapter 15. I just want to say, no worries, Lynn. Anytime. Lynn says thank you for co-hosting. So, yeah, we'll pretend that I'm the host. Desert's really running the show. Yeah.
No, I'm running the show. You're the host. I'm the guest. What are you talking about?
Anyway.
Don't pass the buck on me. It's your channel.
Okay.
You were just nice enough to do this. I'm so grateful.
Right. Yeah, but you're the professional. I'm the novice. I'm the amateur. Anyway. Yeah. All right. Okay. Let's read. Okay. It's titled. The paragraph is titled "Vision." I'll just read half of it. I can relate to this, and this is why I'm a little bit confused. I'll tell you why after I've read it. Okay, it's called Vision. Yet there is a vision possible to man, which pierces the universal veil. A vision free from all obscurity, a vision uncontaminated by the dark shadows of base desires or fear, by unstable emotions or unworthy motives. It is the vision seen when man develops a new faculty of a new sense. It is an inward vision of splendor. A wave of spiritual light will engulf him. A mysterious power, indescribable in mere words, sweeps like a shooting star over the expanse of his spirit, giving a sudden illuminating flash which floods his whole inner being, his soul, with a glorious light. In its brilliance he is granted, for a brief moment in time, a glimpse of the splendid vision opened up to him. He is then united with the living heart of the universe by a bond reaching out to infinity. Nothing known to man, no symbols of his conception can express the enlightenment which floods his whole being. It can be experienced in quiet tranquility of spirit. It can burst all the bounds of restraint, expressing itself in an all-embracing, overwhelming feeling of love. Okay, the reason I'm a little confused is because I have experienced something very similar, Desert, and I'm not pure. I still smoke, and I'm still dealing with frustration and other emotions, and I don't know how I can experience something that is very similar to what I just read when I'm not there yet. I'm still I can't, how can I describe, I don't know, I feel like a child, like I'm the little sister. I'm the kid that's wide-eyed, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, filled with wonder. But I was experiencing that, the white light and the overwhelming feeling of love. I just wanted to share. I was bursting with it. I just wanted to share it with everybody. And that's when I adopted the term wows and giggles, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah, so any thoughts on that?
waking up, and I wish I would have had the original gospel, aka the Aquarian gospel. That's a false name to just deflect it to the original source of this document as being the original gospel. And I wish I would have had the Cole Brown back. All of these books when I was a teenager, because I know that if I would have had the inspiration, I feel like I would have avoided so much of the challenge I faced in my learning the lessons of life. But yet, nonetheless, I know Yeshua can do a better job of laying out my path, and he did it my path in a way which would cause me to have to work to learn the meanings of these stories and the symbols, and it's not easy. In fact, I think today, because people are wanting to give gifts, I'll give one today, because it was my vision when I got up early this morning when it was still dark to use the restroom. By the time I was thinking, because I'm reading in the book of Yeshar is Jasher, the book of Jasher, and I'm writing the story where Vole Shaphe, Joseph, was betrayed by all of his brothers. So no doubt you know the story, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So I think I'll share that, because this is what was revealed to me this morning is so profound that I know it was a gift. On the day of giving gifts, I know Yeshua gave me a great gift when he allowed me to see this story, because it's been one of my. Every time I read the story of Joseph, it brings tears to my eyes, because to me it's my story where my parents sold me out. That doesn't happen for everybody, but it happened for me, and so that's why I left New Jersey at age 17 and never looked back, because I had nothing there to leave. So this story is so profound, you see, where let's put it in perspective properly. And I'll try to leave. This will be the first time I've told it. I haven't shared this with anyone. It just came to me this morning, like a ton of bricks. Because what is in the story of who we call, and I'll use the King James terminology first, but we have to correct the terminology because it creates the picture. Jacob, he has 12 sons, and 10 of them are by not the woman that he loved. He loved Rachel, Rachel, is the rays of light with the keys of knowledge, the ray of light. So she symbolized the ray of light with the keys of knowledge, and that's what we saw in Joseph. Joseph was the one, who saved his family with his quality of character, what he represented. But the other 10 that preceded, the two babies of Rachel, the 10 sons that came first, were with was with those that were not preferred, right? Just like Yeshua or Yahweh had to make a creation that he does not prefer, right? He doesn't prefer the planet that he made with the warfare that's going on, right?
Yeah.
But he gave us free will.
Yeah.
And he knew what we would do, right?
Yes.
He gave us free will. And so we all had to make a choice in this saga. And I've been reading the story for years, over and over and over and over and over. And now that I'm, able to define things so much more clearly, and how the world is really being run. That's what the Forbidden History series is all about. How our world is really being run from the beginning of recorded history by this Aryan race. So now that we can properly define the term, and it was about code, right? And so the cyber codes that I defined. So now we have to define these cyber codes given to us by the priesthood. so that we can properly interpret the story. And so what does Jacob mean? Jacob is Yaakov. And what does Yaakov mean? And by the way, Jacob is even bastardized more by being brought into modern English as James. That's how they had to hide it. You see, they had to work overtime to hide this one because it's the key word. James is Jacob. Jacob is Yaakov, and Yaakov is the seed of light. The seed of light. You see, Yaakov represents the sun, and so when he wrestled with the Malek on the night before he was going to meet his brother Esau again, who was correctly Esau, and who wanted to kill him because he stole his blessing from him. But it was his fault because he sold out his birthright for a bowl of porridge. Esau did because he was of the earth. And Yaakov represents the spirit. Yaakov represents the spirit of life. And so we have to look at all these things as symbols now. And so the seed of light, what is the seed of light? If we talk about the prime, going back to prime image, prime symbol, the first symbol, what is the seed of light? Can you tell me? What looks like a seed? It's round.
What looks like a seed and it's round?
And in the sky?
Yeah, the sun.
Thank you. The seed of light. That is the great seed up there that brought forth our solar system. It is the seed of light. It is the seed of life. And so you may remember that they called they made fun of Joseph because they hated him as being the dreamer because he had a dream, and he said that all of you had sheaves, and you bowed down and worshiped me, and the mother and father, Jacob represented the sun, Yaakov represented the sun, and his mother represented the moon. You see, and there's the classic image of sun and moon, male, female, light and darkness.
Wow.
And that's why his mother died, right after she had Benjamin. When she was bringing forth life, she died because even though she represented the ray of Rakeul, the light and the keys of vision, they were hidden. And so she dies. His mother dies after she has the two sons. And it came last. Note that it came last like Yeshua came last. That which was preferred came last. And so the sons, in essence, all represent the zodiac. And his mother and father represent sun and moon. And so you see, it's a cosmic story by its symbolism. It's a cosmic story, but it's a story about mankind at the same time. And so what we have here is in other words, if Yaakov represents the great father of light, then he also represents creation, and so the sons, what they represent in this story, because in other words, prior to this event happening, when he came back into the Galun, which is the original word for Canaan, Canaan's land, the garden. In other words, it's the garden of high noon. Galun means the garden of high noon. Gan is garden, and noon is the prime suffix of that. So it means the great garden at noon, because the sun is at high noon, the perfect light that shines and flows. You can't miss it. And there's two gardens. The garden is the atom. The sun is the primordial garden where a spirit fell from, and it is the Eden that Adam came down from and was placed into the lower garden of the earth. And so now in the symbolism, Yaakov is leaving Laban, who was ripping him off and playing games with him, and he's coming back to Galun, and he's going to meet his brother Esau. And so after that event happens, then he's living outside of Shechem, and then in Shechem they rape Diana, their sister, and Jacob's daughter, and And so in this event, as it's all written out in the book of Jasher, they tell them all to circumcise themselves if they want to marry their sister, to be like them. And so, but it was a act of stealth, because once all the men of the community circumcised themselves, they were I don't know how do you put it. They were put at a disadvantage because they had to heal from the pain
yep,
of
okay.
Yeah. All right, from circumcision. So in other words, they weren't going to be walking around very much. They were going to be laying down, drinking water, and hoping to get better real soon. So a very painful act. And so as a result, the strongest brothers, I think it was Judah and Simeon, but the elder of the brothers, two of them went into the city and killed all the people, all the males. I think they may have killed the married women, but then the virgins and the young people may have lived. But they basically annihilated and enslaved everybody else. And then they went and they conquered the other cities in the area, because the other cities wanted to come in and take them down. So they were forced. So what happened was these brothers, all 10 of them, they fought. Not Joseph, not Benjamin, because they were little at the time. But the brothers, all 10 of them, literally kicked butt. They took down all the principal people of all the other cities in the area, like about half a dozen of them. And so they conquered the land. These brothers, with their slaves and with the help of Yahweh, because it was, in other words, it was the judgment of Yahweh. It wasn't. This is leading up to the story now, and I'm glad I'm telling this part of it, because it's helping me to remember what I'm seeing in this vision. It was the older, these brothers, Yahweh fighting for them. Therefore, it wasn't that they were just tough guys, but it was a supernatural event that was occurring, that they had the power of Yahweh behind them, and nothing could stop them. And they literally conquered all of these cities, and then the cities made peace with them. They made peace with them. So literally, they became a legend in their own time for having come back into Banon, and then literally taking the heathen and putting them to task and putting them where they belong, putting them to bed, so to speak. And so therefore Yaakov could have peace in the land, and nobody would bother him. Just like Abraham was a legend in his time, and so Yaakov becomes a legend as well with his 10 sons. Not to mention he has 12 of them, which is symbolic of the zodiac, but he's got the 10 primary sons, all by the women he didn't prefer, because he preferred Rachel, who was represented as with Joseph, who was going to save his family. And so what happens next in this story is that because what happened was Reuben, the oldest son, betrayed his father, because when Rachel died, when Rachel died, and that was the woman that he wanted, that was the woman he loved. He didn't want Leah. He never asked for her, but he got her. You see, it's a story about life. We didn't want Leah. We wanted Rachel. We wanted the beauty. We wanted the perfection. We wanted happiness. But instead, he got Leah. Leah, which represented the lower life, the problems we face, and what we didn't. Why did this happen to me? I didn't want this, right?
Yeah.
The struggle
Yeah.
we find ourselves in, and we wanted happiness. We wanted beauty. We wanted all the beautiful things, and truth. Instead, we got the BS and the garbage. And so that's what it represented. His 10 sons came to him through a situation that he didn't ask for. He wanted Rachel. He wanted Raquel. And so Joseph is the product of what he wanted from that, the virgin, so to speak, not to use, a metaphor, the virgin woman, the beautiful virgin light. He wanted, and so Joseph is the product of that woman, whereas those 10 sons are the product of the other women. Okay, sun, earth, and moon, 3 women, 2 slaves, and Leah. And so it could represent sun, earth, and moon in that metaphor. The three come together, the triune, to create life. And so what happens? So because Reuben, when Rachel died, then instead of Jacob moving in with Leah, his other wife, he didn't. He moved in with Bilhah, the slave. And so because Reuben, the eldest, was upset with his father for not moving in with Leah, his mother, the eldest son then goes and seduces Bilhah, the slave, and has sex with her. And so when Jacob finds out, he never sleeps with Bilhah again because she was violated by his son Reuben. But as a result, Reuben loses his birthright. The firstborn, remember we talked about the firstborn?
Yep.
The firstborn loses his birthright because he wasn't worthy of it. Because he violated his father's bed. And that's now again a picture of life, right? It's about creation. It's a metaphorical story. And so what happens is the inheritance, because now Yaakov could choose who he wants to give the inheritance to. He's going to give it to Joseph, and that's why Joseph already had the title. Remember the word Asha passed down from Sarah?
Wow.
It was Asha Ray, then it becomes Asha Ma'ul, but Asha Ma'ul is born of a slave, so it becomes Asha Yak, who is Isaac, and then from Asha Yak it goes to Esau. Esau is really Asha Yal, but he was unworthy, and then Jacob, Yaakov, gets the title of Asha Re'el in the battle. All night long struggling, he becomes Asha Re'el, Israel. So the Asha, the word Asha is passing all the way down from the Fasha, from the throne of the sun, from the beginning. And so now Joseph already in advance had the title Vol Eshafe, Joseph Vol Eshafe, and so he represents the virgin light of the nourishing mother that's going to protect and preserve us. And so let me know this my where I'm going to go here with this. So what happens is because now Reuben is on the outs and no longer he loses his inheritance because he violated the laws of Noah. This whole family orientation is established through the line of Noah and the rules that are set down by their parentage. And so he violated the sacred laws of Yahweh and Noah and Melchizedek, because they were all Abraham was nurtured in Yerul Eshalom in Jerusalem. That's where Noah lived with Shem, Ham, and Yalfeh. Excuse me. And Shem is actually Asham, excuse me. And also Melchizedek, and that's another story for another day. But the point is that Jacob was educated there like Abraham. Abraham was educated there, not educated, but enlightened, excuse me, for 40 years. And after Esau, who was Esau Yah, sold out his birthright, then Yaakov, and this is only found in Jasher, goes to Jerusalem, Yerul Eshalom, or at the time it was called the city of Shalom, peace, Eshalom. He studied there for 30 years, and that's prior to his going to Laban and then getting married. You see, all of this is part of the story, and it's been hidden from us. And so he comes back with the knowledge. What the point is that they are deep with knowledge and of who they are, where they are, why they are, and when they are. They know who they are from Adam, from the beginning. They know about the creation, and so now he's going to feed Volei Shafei, Joseph, all of his knowledge that comes from Melchizedek and from Noah. They're passing down the truth through one line. It's coming through one line, and so a straight line. And it's not through slaves, and it's not through the corrupt, but it's through the pure, only through the pure line. And so, okay, so what happens is, so in the process of Yaakov loving his son Bolei Shafei more than all the others because he's now officially the chosen one. You know, he makes him a coat of many colors to show him how much he loves him. And so all the brothers are jealous, you know. And so what happens with the brothers? They want to kill him, right? They hate him. And then he's having dreams about their sheaves bowing down to his sheep. He's in the middle. He's just telling the story about what he's getting. He didn't make it up.
Yeah.
He's getting these dreams. And so they hate him even more now. And so his father saw the problem, and he even said, well, you think we're going to bow down? You just forget it. You know, he tries to push it under the rug because he knows the sons hate him. And so what ultimately happens in the story? The brothers see him coming to them out in the wilderness. And they say, look, here comes the dreamer. Let's kill him. And so, ironically, it was Reuben that wanted to save him now. Because Reuben already knew he was on the outs. And he wasn't going to participate. So Reuben, has in his mind he's going to save the brother and get him back to the father. But in the process, he goes away. And then the next thing that happens is that the rest of the brothers sell Joseph to the Ishmaelites, going on a caravan, to Meitzar, and so he's sold in slavery. And so what is the story here? What is the story? Because see, these men were tough. These are tough men, but yet they weren't in on the intellectual benefit. Joseph was in on the intellectual benefit, but the men were of the earth, right? They were tough guys, They had the power of Yahweh, but in the physical strength, but they didn't have the wisdom. So So suddenly I realized what this story represented today, and let me take a sip of my drink here to help my throat. I'm getting hoarse.
We'll take a break soon. I'm just on the edge of my
we're
seat waiting for this.
We're almost there. Bottom line is the sons. In other words, imagine this. That the father who represents this great line of characters, and Volish and Yaakove, the seed of light, represents the son. Excuse me. He represents the father of creation. He's got 12 sons. So he represents Yahweh, who made the entire universe and the galaxy, the 12 zodiac, and the sun at the center of the solar system. Yahweh represents the creative father of light. And then what happens is he's got 12 sons, and his sons all commit to an agreement by oath, by blood oath, that they would kill each other, just like the ancient watchers who fell from their high estate at the Mount Hermon in the book of Enoch, and 200 of them, and said, we are going to do this thing, and we will take a blood oath. It's the first blood oath recorded in history by the 200 Bekodesh watchers who fell, the Aryans who fell from the first estate with Enoch, and said, we are going to conquer the earth and take over and enslave everybody else. And they sold their brother, let's make it plural, they sold their brothers, mankind, into slavery, you see, into death. And can you not see the parallel with the 10 brothers representing the fallen watchers? It's retelling the story of how the fall occurred.
Wow.
And Bolei Shafei is sold into Meitzar, correctly, falsely Egypt, and he's sold into slavery. And in the process of the story, he is delivered. You see, that is the potential we have within our story, is to be delivered. We're sold into slavery by mankind, by man himself, the one who's destroying our world today, the same legacy, the same lineage, and yet we can be delivered from it if we can only wake up and see the light. Get the picture, ladies and gentlemen, if you're tuned in.
Wow, does it?
Yeah. I'm wowing, okay? because I never swam before in all year until this morning when I woke up on Saturnalia Day.
Wow.
Saturnalia turned back to the sun, and we just came full circle with this amazing story about. Imagine, see how beautiful it is that Yahweh gives us the story that occurred in the picture of these people. They what they imagine now. Just imagine the feeling for a moment. I want to finish my impression that I had. Imagine how Yaakov, Jacob, the father of the family, felt. Imagine that all of his sons conspired against him. That's the picture of the watchers conspiring against Yahweh. All of the sons of the Aryan race turned against him.
Yeah.
And Yaakov, his entire family, 10 sons, turned against him and sold out his favorite, the one who was destined to get the inheritance, because of hatred and jealousy and envy and lust and ignorance. Imagine how he would have felt when he woke up to the truth 20 years later, when he learned that his son was alive in Meitzar, and they had to tell him the story, right? All of his sons sold him out to misery. There wasn't a day he didn't mourn for his son. That's the picture of Yahweh mourning for us right now in our dilemma. Can you see it?
I can see it. I can definitely see it. Thank you, Desert. Thank you.
It's parallel.
Yeah.
It's a parallel picture. Yeah.
Yeah.
And don't forget, you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen, on the Forbidden History Chronicles. What they didn't want you to know, but we tell right here. Back to you, Ninja.
Wow, what an exclusive. Yeah. Well, do you want to rest your voice for a minute?
Yeah, you can give out contact information, and then we'll pick up part 2 on the codes if you want to, or if you got anything else you want to share first. Okay.
Okay. I think I've used up all my highlights and notes. So yeah, I'm still wowing, Desert. That's just wow. We'll take a break and sort of let that process while you rest your voice, and I'll give out some contact details. Okay?
I'm already on mute. You can go right ahead.
No.
I break, you're on the job. Go to it.
Alright. Okay. You can contact Dezert-Owl if you would like to donate any size donation. We'll get you PDFs of the Real Da Vinci Code Etymological Dictionary. There's also the Book of Wisdom and a sample of the original Gospel with a more up-to-date version of the dictionary at the back of that one. You can get them for any size donation, and if you can't afford to donate and you would really like to get a copy, we will give it to you anyway. To donate, you just go straight to www.therealpublicradio.net. That's www.therealpublicradio.net. All links and information are in the description on this channel. Desert is we're broadcasting on this channel for new listeners. We're broadcasting on this channel as much as we can until Desert manages to get another computer up and running. His channel is the Forbidden History series. While we're broadcasting on this channel, I encourage you to go over to the Forbidden History series and go back to June 21st this year. Everything is there in great detail regarding the code and the teachings of that, how to figure it out. And it's awesome. It really is. It's awesome. All the live streams are there. So go back and check it out. Contact number, thank you Lynn, is in the chat. I will put it in the description. That's one thing that's not there. While Desert's computer is inactive, to get copies, PDFs, just let me know, and I will organise it for you. My email is in the description. I think that's all. Desert, did I miss anything? Are you back?
Oh, I think you covered it. Yes, I'm here. Thank you.
Okay.
A little better, my voice. And yeah, it's the story came to me in a moment. Right at the point of washing my hand. It's like I can't explain how.
It's like bam.
It's like a veil is lifted over. And you see it for the first time, like in those stories of Yeshua healing people. But that's how the vision comes. It's like it's like once you see it, you say, how did I ever miss that all my life? Sometimes it's the most simple thing, but the biggest unveiling to me was when I was sitting in my truck unloading at a chemical facility in Beaumont, Texas, and my truck parked in the unloading rack was facing east, and I was sitting behind the steering wheel of my 18-wheeler tanker and facing the sunrise. And then I'm reading in the book of Genesis about my book is opened up on my steering wheel, and while the product is being unloaded, and as I'm reading about Hadam and Keva, and it says that they were cast out of the garden, and that there was a sword that protected the garden and pointed in every direction. And when I was reading that, it was like, okay, I'm pointed in every direction.
Yeah.
All of a sudden I look up in front of me and the sun is rising, and I realize that the garden with the sword that's pointing in every direction is the sun.
Yep.
And that's when it really opened up to me in a big way.
Yeah.
And once you get the picture, once you can see that we came from the light, and that's where it all came from. And it wasn't that it was, in other words, the sword wasn't trying to keep people out of the garden. The sword was trying to point the way back into the garden. You see, to preserve it, to protect it. That's the sword is the light is shining the way back. It's coming out, but it's pointing the way back in. You see, right?
Yeah.
Both ways.
Yeah.
It's two ways. Just like electricity is what do they call it? Alternating current. It runs both ways on the line.
Yeah.
So it's a great mystery, and the mystery has to be unfolded at one point in everybody's life. It's being conveyed here in a message to people because most people will never have the time to figure it out. To have it unfold like it did for me.
Yeah.
So the Yahweh
to catch up on over 40 years worth of work. Yeah.
My tree of knowledge has been feeding me, and in a unique way. My trail was a very unique one. But I did go through 40 years of the wilderness, and it's been very painful. I got to tell you, I didn't get anything on a silver platter wrapped in tinsel gold. It was a work and a struggle to be able to overcome this, the dense death and darkness of this world, to be able to see this light. It was a passion of wanting to know so that I could transcend, because I realized that all of our quote-unquote religion was part truth and part lies, and so so I had to discover all the lies, and so I could know then the perfect truth about these things, you know. So, as I've been saying on the other program, that if you want to know the truth, just look for all the lies, and then the truth is hiding behind it. You know?
Yeah.
Excuse me. So let's back up to yesterday, because when we talked about the enemy putting themselves in our scriptures, being the angels being the Anglo-Saxons, and the Jews being the Khazar bankers, and their name didn't even exist up until 1,000 years ago, and then the God or Yahweh, Great Spirit, being taken out and supplemented with Adonai or Donai, which backwards is India. It's an anagram. You just have to shuffle the letters a little bit, and you get India. And because the other one, of course, that they put in there, I forgot on the cap off to go back to Lucifer again, because as it's well established now by the best independent researchers, there is no Greek document, no Hebrew document anywhere that has the name Lucifer in it. It was a clever trick, because it's talking about the cosmic nature, meaning sun and moon, the elements, and these things, and so therefore the light of the morning, when it refers to the light of the morning or something, then they can immediately wrap that in Lucifer. But Lucifer by title is not there, and so it is another trick. So 4 words they put in our scriptures, because we're talking about the code now, the cyber code, and it is an angel, which is originally was Malek. Malek means royal messenger, and the mother's tongue also means the mother's tongue, Malek, the mother's tongue, and it's a real anagram. There's several things going on in the word Malek, but royal messenger is primary. The king was the Malek. Okay, that's the word for king. Malek, because the king didn't claim to be the head. He claimed to be the royal messenger. He was the Malek of the throne of the sun. Even the Pharaoh claimed not to be the head, but the royal messenger of the throne of the sun. That's why the cobra was in his headdress. Because it means the supporting power. Adonai again means sunrise, but the sunrise is being attributed to India. When you read it backwards, they took out Yahweh, put in the Phoenician god Adonai, and excuse me. Then Jew, of course, there was never a Jew anywhere in our scriptures. It was Yudean, and correctly Euthan, meaning again goes back to the sun. The Yud, which is really the Yud, is the dot, because it's the smallest, like a child. A Yud is small, and so they're parallels. Okay, this is all part of the proper interpretation of these Eshabors or words. So let's see, we covered all that now. So angel is Anglo-Saxon. The Aryans, the Teutonics, in the Greek, the Titans. The most powerful, though, in the Hebrew tradition, the Aryan watchers who fell to Kodesh, who we see now, running the Vatican. It's the greatest show on earth. It's the greatest cover. As they say, it takes 1 million lies to cover the first lie, and the first lie is, where do these Aryans come from, and how do they, like when we look at the classic Nazi Germany, this Teutonic, knighthood that they march down the streets with all their banners and horses and armaments, with going back several hundred years, because they have a legacy. They know their legacy. They're not telling us literally, but if we can read the symbolism, we can get the picture. And the swastika itself is the symbol of the sun. It's the light particles spinning. That's the fan. The philpot is the fan. That swastika, imagine it, a fan, and it spins, and the light particles of creation are falling to earth. They're claiming to be of the sun, even though secretly they embrace Lucifer, the darkness, because they hate Yahweh. That's why it's called the black sun. They put a cross on the sun, or wear a cross, and the cross is a symbol of the black sun, not a symbol of light, but a symbol of darkness, because it's a symbol of death, symbol of crucifixion, symbol of torture, symbol of a sword, and a double cross, and a cross section, and a cross section breaks the direct flow. So all of these things are negative, and yet people want to wear crosses. They don't even know the meaning of the symbol. Lucifer, and Lucifer is Lucy, and it's a woman, and all creation is female, and therefore the image of the male is merely seen in the the character of man. And Yeshua came in the image of a man, but feminine, as you well pointed out, that his quality was like a mother. It was the love of forgiveness, nurturing, not harsh judgment, not condemnation. A total reversal on how we see the image on the earth, and that makes sense because everything is a reverse image of the truth. And we just saw now the divine love. We saw the love that Yahweh really has for us in the story of Jacob, Yaakov, because he every day he mourned, every day for 20 years. His sons regretted so tremendously what they did. When they saw what they did to their father, it killed them. It broke their ego. That's what happened. They sold their brother into slavery. They figured he was dead, and they killed their father. And so this is what that story is about, and the reason they wouldn't take Benjamin down, but they had to take Benjamin down. So Lucifer, also put in our scriptures, doesn't belong there, is Lucifer. Lu means protection.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Lu,
keep
as we
going.
see it in the word look.
Yeah.
Look, right? Because when you're out in the waters, in the ocean, you're looking for land. And so Lu was the first word coming out of your mouth, meaning protection, safe haven, land. Oh, look. And so Lu, as a part of the word Lu is low with one O, means it is truth throughout all time. But Lu is protection. Why? Because also the two O's represent sun and moon. Ability to see at night, ability to see in the daytime. The L is the symbol of time, and when you reverse Lu, you get Ul for the owl, one who can see in the darkness. So you see, it's a power word. And so, where was I going with all this? Okay, so true cipher, Lucifer, the true, and the protector of the cipher. So the cipher is the code. And if you're in a conspiracy against mankind, then what more thing is important than to know that you are protected by your code, and everybody in that secret brotherhood is going to operate by the code, and if you break the code, you're dead, because we're not going to die because of you. We're going to kill you, And so Lucifer. And so Lucifer is the code, and that's all Lucifer is. Lucifer, as I pointed out yesterday, is no different than a corporation. It was created by man. It's an idea. It's represented in men who wear dresses. Okay? And so, and it will never die because they will never die to their cause. They are the ones who keep it alive. And so it's perpetual, and it gets worse as it goes, right? And look what they've done. They ultimately now, as we see through aerosol spraying, geoengineering, they have destroyed the ozone layer. And all of life is dying. All the creatures of the oceans, apparently, according to Dan Wigington, 80 to 90% of all ocean life is now dead, at least in the Pacific. And the rest of it's coming. Fukushima is a big part of it, but we know the solar radiation is part of it. All the oceans, all the bodies of water are heating up, and it's losing its oxygen, and the plankton, the red tide and all that is taking over. Yeah, our world is dying. They destroyed it. These arrogant, fallen ones, in their hatred of Yahweh, and because they took a blood oath and they can never go back. They are the fallen ones, and we read in the scriptures that have been bound here in chains. We read that one story about how they are bound here forever in chains, and they are in this bottomless pit, because the earth is a bottomless pit, contrary to the flat earthers. It's bottomless because it's all surface, and they are bound here on this planet forever. They can never go back, and because they're not going back, they don't want us to go back.
Yeah.
They're not going, so they've designed it so that we're not going. That's why they control all religion. They don't want us to be set free. They want us to be bound to government. Bound to government, which means mental control, mind control. Government over mind. Government mental. And so they designed it so that they're always in control, and they play a shell game by bringing one nation up and then taking it down after its 500-year cycle, because they will never allow any other government or nation to really get control. And so it's a shell game, and like bringing up a business, a corporation for a while, and then you're going to close the business, and then you're going to open up another one, and you keep changing the names and the places, and all the imagery and all that. It's the greatest show on earth. So let's talk about some of the code, okay? So the letters in the code, in other words, you know that I get past the Greek and the Hebrew, going back to the Indo-Germanic, and because that we have to go back to that which is first, and that which is first is that which is superior, and that which is first is pure. So we go what was breathed into it, but it's based on symbol, and so the symbols we have to go back into the prime roots, and so the I'm trying to think of where. Well, okay, because I've got several notes here. Okay, and I'll go to that one next. So yeah, I think before I do this one with those codes, I'm going to talk about a primary code, and it's the two O's, because as I was just, I just got in a couple Indo-Germanic dictionaries. After all these years, I finally get my Indo-Germanic dictionaries, after people have been opened up to me pretty well.
Yeah.
But it all now confirmed. It's been confirming what Yeshua was showing to me, because he always allows me to see things first, and then he gives me the confirmations, and that's why he's taught me to trust. I can rely on the things that I'm seeing, because it's about trusting. We have to know in this dark time, when it looks like there's no way out. Like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego going into the fiery furnace. They had no way out. They had to go there, but they were delivered. You see, and so it's the same thing. If we have vision, we can know that we can trust, even though it looks bad. Because we have to trust the Spirit. We have to trust Yahweh and not man. Woe unto the man who puts his trust in man, because he moved away from Yahweh. And that's why I'm a free man today. When the government sting operation tried to put me away forever, and they couldn't do it because I wouldn't trust an attorney. I trusted Yahweh. I wouldn't talk to those attorneys. They had a trial without me, basically. I never once helped them. I got the record for the longest case in West Virginia's history, with 26 months of torture. And so in this code, what I learned by reading this Indo-Germanic dictionary, one of these two, is that the very first vowel is the two O's. And it's interesting because, the very first English translation of our Bible, of our scriptures, not really a Bible, but that's okay, in Wycliffe from 1382, I've got a copy of it, and I was always amazed because in there, it doesn't say the Alpha and the Omega, it says the Alpha and the U, two O's. He is the beginning and the end. And so what's interesting about that is the very first vowel that was identified in the Indo-Germanic is the two O's. The U sounds like the owl again, right?
Yep.
And then what is at the end? The two O's again, at the beginning and at the end. And what do those two O's symbolize? Sun and moon, two circles, right? The two primary, the most primary elements within our creation, the two lights, the lesser light and the greater light, the two O's, and they are symbols of vision. And then at the end of the alphabet, then in the Greek, what do we have in the Greek? We got that little funny oval with 2 feet on it, which represents the owl, the omega, right?
Yeah.
You hear the two O's, omega. So the two O's are there only by sound, but in the first English translation of our scriptures, well, not Old English, because the Old English, is with Alfric, gave us the Old English, but I'm talking about Middle English with John Wycliffe from Oxford University, 1382. First English translation of the entire scriptures, and in there it's the Alpha and the U, and so the U, we see this word, these two O's. Let me cough real quick, hang on.
Okay.
And then we see these two O's in some primary words. So let's look at that symbol, okay? And you can type it into the you know, if you can do it quietly,
If I can do it quietly. So you can't even hear me typing now. That's so good.
The keyboard gets a little loud. But so let's look at the primary two O vowel symbols. O-O-L.
Am I doing...
O-O-L, that's the original word for owl, the ool. And then the word root, R-O-O-T. Now, how appropriate that the word root would have two O's in it, right? Because it literally, the root is the sun and the moon, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
You see? Root. At the root of our creation is the sun and the moon. Without them, we could not have life on earth. They are required in the metaphysical creation for life on earth, the sun and the moon. Everything came out of the sun, and the moon is a sister star. It is the physical creation. It represents symbolically physical creation, where the sun represents spirit, the moon represents physical matter, because it's a rock, you know. And so then we get the word look, look, look at sun and moon.
Wow.
And then we get,
I'm typing all these in, by the way. Sorry, I missed that one. I'm typing all these in. Just want to say a quick goodbye to Lynn. Lynn's going, so love you and be safe. Yeah.
Keep me in prayer, Lynn.
Yeah.
Okay. And so let's look at what do we have at when the sun is at its apex? We have high noon.
Oh, wow. There's it.
Right? The two O's. At the apex of our creation, we have two O's, noon, and then on each side we got the letter N, which is the divided M for the mother, which means that the M is divided into N, and that's the two powers that came down, the sun and moon, light and darkness, yin and yang. So the light focusing is telling us it's a divided creation, and it's a duality.
Wow.
And then we find the M, then we find the M in moon, M-O-O-N. So the M-O is the mother sun, and the O-N is the dark moon, the N that came down divided. You know, there's much that can be said about these symbols. I'm just kind of like going at fast pace here. But then we get the word soon. And soon implies, it'll be like saying, and when the sun, by the time the sun rises, so soon, O-O-N again. And so then we can look at the word two. The two isn't spelled T-W-O. Look at that spelling. Isn't that a pathetic way to spell two? Where's that W come from? T-W-O? Give me a break. It's T-O-O. Two for sun and moon. Two circles. Just like it sounds. And then we can talk about tune. Not T-U-N-E, but T-O-O-N. For the two circles, the sounds of creation in tune with one another, bringing forth life. And then the big boom, B-O-O-M, because when it's big and it's an explosion, then it represents sun and moon, because it's got to be big if it's a boom, you know. And so that's a way to, you know, look at the symbol, you see. It's telling a story. We've got to be able to read the pictures, because it is the higher attic form of communication.
Yeah, I'm seeing it from typing it into the chat. Like, I typed in every double O word you said, and just from typing it and seeing it and reading it for myself, it's so much clearer. Wow, does it?
That's why it's the first vowel. It's the first vowel because they are the first symbols of creation. In other words, in Genesis, when I do the transliteration, I'm going to do it correctly. And when the Naga serpent Adam deceived his counterpart Keva, who was naive, because Adam the Naga knew everything about creation, because he was with Yeshua all the time he was making it, and he named everything. And he told her, "Don't worry, baby, if we do this thing, you won't die." And he lied to her. What did he say? Because Yahweh knows that if we do this thing, we will know about, and what did it say? In our King James, it says good and evil. But it's not about good and evil. We take it back to the primary, and primary is light and darkness. But it's not about light. It is about light and darkness, but we got to take it back to the symbols. What represents light and darkness? And it is sun and moon. So what he literally said to her in the beginning was that we won't surely die, baby, but we will be enlightened, and we will know the meaning of the sun and the moon. You can't go any further back than those two symbols, you see?
Wow.
Symbols of light and darkness, symbols of creation, symbols of mother and father, symbols of spirit and matter, right?
Yeah. JF is in the chat. JF what the what? Yeah, I'll just say hello. Says Google. That's them using it.
Oh yeah, Google. Right, that's correct. Goog. In other words, in the scriptures, in Revelation, it talks about Gog and Magog. You see, Gog is Google, goggle. Gog is goggle. So it is the two eye.
Yeah.
It is the two eye. So what do you do when you go to Google? You got to go looking, right? You're looking for something with your eye.
Yep.
So the two O's are the two eyes. One is the blind eye. The moon is the blind eye. And the sun is represents the all-seeing eye of the great Father of light and his son Yeshua.
Wow.
They see all things.
Wow.
But the moon is blind. The moon doesn't have any light of its own. It's a reflection of the light, and that's the Luciferian symbol and the Catholic host on Sunday, and it's a blind entity, and the occult follow it, so they're acknowledging that their woman is blind, and that's why at the courthouse, in all the courthouses of the world apparently, then we see a woman with a blindfold on because they acknowledge that their God is blind, and they're happy for that. Because they're blind, they don't want to know the truth. They don't want to wake up to their psychopathic nature or the wrongs they committed against women and children and the rest of the world. They love their darkness.
They don't want to have to think, because when you think, that's when you well, this is my interpretation. When you start thinking, that's when you start becoming conscious of the bad things that you're doing. So they don't want to think. They want to stay blind. Yeah.
Well, the better way to say it, Ninja, is they do think. They think every day about what they want to think about. But what it is they don't want to. They cannot confront themselves. They cannot confront. They sold out to a blood oath.
Yeah.
A sacred vow, and they know that if they don't do now what they're told to do, they will be killed.
Yeah.
By their brotherhood. You see.
Yeah.
You see. So it's an oath. It's a blood oath. It's a selling of your soul, of your mind, of your heart, and your being to a cause that is death. Based on death. You killed yourself first.
Yep.
In its cause. So, okay, so the another code, as we see in parentheses, when we see what we abbreviate it by saying paren, right? The parentheses, we sometimes say paren. And so whatever is in the parentheses, like in a legal document, in legal parlance, anything in a parentheses or in a box is not there on the legal document. So it's added for enlightenment for the reader, but in the legal sense, anything in a box or in parentheses is not there on the document, and so therefore cannot be referred to only for reference, but not for a legal claim, because it was put in parentheses. So it's a trick.
Okay.
It's an occultic trick again. So, but what's interesting about the word paren is if you put a T on it, you get parent, right?
Yep.
Parent. And so you got two crescents. And so in a symbolism, it actually, looks like sun and moon. And so sun and moon, but let's look at the word, forget those symbols for a minute, and look at the word parent. Because in the gospel that came out of Tibet, which is called the Gospel of the Perfect Life, and it's another gospel, and it's been unadulterated by the Vatican for the, although the translator who actually translated it was a priest, and therefore it does have some.
That's a beautiful title, though. I like the title.
But the word parent H with a P, so it's really a F sound. The Faram, the Faram. So we can see the word Faram in there, or the Faram, which means the sun. So the parent in the word parent is the Faram or the Faram, and that is the sun. That is our parent. We came from the sun because remember we said it's both male and female.
Yep.
And so it's not male or female. Therefore, it is the parent. It is the protector. The parentheses on both sides becomes the parent. The protection on the right and on the left, which protects us. And so it is, and therefore the Fay-Ram means the Mary, and Ram, interesting, in Fay-Ram, backwards you get Mary. There's the word Mary, which was the virgin light that came down that wanted to give us light, that brought forth the seed of light, Mary. And so literally Fay-Ram backwards is the Mary creation or the virgin creation, the sun. All goes back to the sun, always goes back to the sun. Okay?
Yeah.
And
wow.
I know this is a lot to take in, but everybody can replay it.
Yeah. I'll be replaying, don't worry.
Yeah, I'm going at light speed because there's a lot of ground to cover and a little way to get there, and I've got and don't want to elaborate. We can always elaborate on a special program if you want to talk about any topic specific. We can do that.
Yeah.
Today we're talking about the code, and so here's the voided letters. Here's the letters that do not belong in our alphabet. You're hearing it here first, ladies and gentlemen. A lifetime of discovery in 5 minutes. Okay. It's been a long time to get here, but I absolutely know this is excuse me, true, correct, complete, and not misleading. Because in order to get back to original root form, we have to remove the code of deception. And the codes of deception are what deflect us from being able to read our Eshavors or the words correctly. Eshavor is the original, in the beginning is not the word, or not the logo. In the beginning is the Eshavor. That is the royal center. The royal center is the aspect of communication, the symbol and the vibration. The symbol and the vibration of light that comes out. And it's based on symbol. The alphabet is the prime royal center. Because without communication, we cannot do anything. And Hadam was given the job of naming everything on the earth as it was being created by Yahweh from the throne of the sun, the atom, a.k.a. Eden. And then it says that he took him out of Eden and he placed him into the garden. So get the picture. There were two gardens. There's the higher garden and the lower garden. Everything is a duality. Yahshua is the first atom, A-T-O-M, and then our parent, earthly parent, is Adam, A-D-A-M. Look at the type. They're just like each other. And that's why Thomas, who is really Tolma, which if you take the A from the back and put it in the front, you get atom, was called the duplicate. Not the twin, as if Yeshua had a twin brother. Give me a break. It was, that's what the occultic are kicking around, hoping we'll buy into it.
Yeah.
But it meant that he was the duplicate. Thomas was called the duplicate because his name was Tolma, and it was a code for the atom, because anything else that came after Yeshua is a duplicate, therefore made by Elohim and not by Yahweh, because Yahweh only made the first atom, who is Yeshua, the perfect creation, and he then let him, who is the great Elohim, create. And that was only create something lower than itself.
Yeah.
And so this is part of the great mystery in our universe, okay? But the good news is it can be known. It is unfolded. The story can be told because it is meant to be, so that we can find our way back home. So the corrupt letters are C, W, but again, I'll try to spin it a little bit. C is the K. The C took the place of the G in the third position. It was AVG, not ABC. And the C became a corruption of the G, and the third letter in the position. And then the W became a corruption for the, and by the way, it's not a W, it's a double V. They get us to lie just like they get us cursing every time we go to our computer and use a cursor. It's a double V. W is a supplement for the V. Go change out the words with W's in it, and it reveals the original word. Like way is ve. That's why you hear him in Yiddish saying Ive. Oh, that way, okay. You know, it's the Vay is the way. The V-A-Y, V for the prime roots of Yahweh. That's the way back home. Yahweh. Vay. V-A-Y. And you can hear the sound vibration there. The V vibration. V, put V's next to each other, capital V. V, 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 V. And there's the wave sound. The V is the primary symbol of the wave sound of all creation that everything came out from. When creation came down, the A is the primary, the V is the secondary. And so that's the W. But the W also is a code for two L's and used in other ways, not just one way, but several ways. Just like the C has two sounds. It's only supposed to have one sound. Any letter is only supposed to have one sound, but the C has an F sound and it has a K sound. So there's a duality and a confusion, Babylonian confusion. And then the J, well, originally in the English alphabet there was only two I, and the J came onto the scene about 100 years ago, or excuse me, about 200 years ago, or maybe 3 at the most. But in Old English there was two I's, one was a vowel, one was a consonant, and they were the duality of the A because there's two A's, one is a vowel, one is a consonant. The first letter of the alphabet is a consonant of silent A. The vowel A is the duality. That's why Aaron has two A's in his name, but you only pronounce one A, Aaron, but there's two A's there, telling a story. And J, so in other words, Jesus originally was Isus. Isus had an I in it, right? And then they changed it because they knew it didn't look right. They knew it was too close to Isis and Issa, the woman, called the hidden woman, just like Santa Claus. Everybody likes Christmas. Santa Claus is known as the hidden woman. That's why he's got long hair. That's why he's called Santa, not San. San is masculine. San Jose, San Juan, San Diego, that's male. Santa, like Santa Maria, Santa, Santa whatever, Santa is feminine. Santa Claus, you can hear it. You get the picture? Can you see that, Ninja?
I can see that. I have a question too.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just thought I like to let you go before, and yeah. When you were talking about the J, it got me wondering. I'm sitting here looking at all my little double O words that I typed in the chat, and of course it's got NinjaCat, 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 NinjaCat. The I and the J in Ninja, like how would Ninja be in, like, with the code? How would that word be?
Well, you can see that you got noon. You can easily see two N's together, so you can supplement the I with two O's. Or it would be nan. It could be nan with an A. The I typically is replaced with an A, but the A and the O are duplicates as well. The O is under the A. The A represents the compass, the architect's compass. What's the main thing an architect's compass creates is an O at the bottom, and so the AO, and so it could be noon. You can see the aspect of noon is there, which that's what a ninja would be, right? He'd be stealth with an I. He's the power broker, right? The ninja's the power broker. So noon represents the power broker, and then Ja would be Ya. The J would become a Y, and Ya is the prime root of Yal, that which goes round. So it implies the fire that goes round, and the ninja, but nobody sees the ninja or hears the ninja because it's stealth, based on stealth. And of course, the light is hidden, right? The light is hiding from us in this world. We found out we bought into a lie, and so the truth and the light is also a ninja in that sense, right?
Wow, because like the way we spell it, like in emails and stuff, it's just NinjaH. And yeah, I was just wondering the right way. Wow, that's so cool. Thank you.
All right, and so continuing on with the letter F, F is another false letter because it supplemented the PH. PH is the symbol of creation, and that's why Fay can be spelled Phay, or sometimes Fay. It's the same word, but you're using a different component of the code. And so the F is corruption. The I is a corruption. The I typically is replaced with an A, or just throw the I away. It's a symbol of Lucifer. The dot on top is the symbol of the moon, coming over the horizon of the stick, and it is the blind. It is the blind. And so the I is the blind, and just remove it totally. The Q as well. Not many words in Q, if you notice. And it was a replacement in the Indo-Germanic of the CW. C also, of course, still a corruption. The C is represented with the K. The K symbol is the C. The C took over, the sound of the K. That's why they both sound the same. Ka for can, or kin, and can and cane. It's the same sound. Well, what's this duplication thing going on? That's how they created Babylon. By mixing things up in our soup of alphabet. And so the X also is a corruption of the cross. Also a symbol of destruction. Also used for the letter Z in some words, like Xavier and things like that. So the U is typically a supplement for the two O's, but also for the V, and as we call the W, two U's, but it's two V's. So the C, W, J, F, I, Q, X, and U are basically the false letters that are latecomers in our alphabet, and have done the job to hide the trail back home by they couldn't let us have a pure alphabet, and they couldn't let us have all the symbols in a word. It'd be their death knell, because their code is based on deception and keeping us ignorant and in the dark. So they feed us Babylon, right?
Yeah.
Wow. Baby would not be baby. Oh! I left out the letter B. I can't believe it. I left out the B of all things. I just said it, and I saw it. The B is the second letter of the alphabet is another code. It's really the number 13. If you notice, you split it apart, and you can see it's the number 13 for the lunar cycle of their Luciferian moon. 13 lunar months of the year. 28 days each, and the B is really the V, just like it sounds, and the V is, so baby would be Vabe, because it's the sound wave. It's the beginning of the sound wave of a creation of a new life. The Bebe, you see, the Bebe, the way of creation. The way of creation is to bring forth duplicates, right?
Wow. Yeah, that's
so
amazing, Desert.
What's that?
That's amazing how everything, like when you explain, doesn't matter what you explain with the code, it's so simple. It all makes sense, and it all goes back to the wave, the vibration, the light, the sun.
Yeah.
It just all, I can see it.
Wonderful.
Wow.
That's because you're a ninja.
I'm a ninja.
You're supposed to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
So did I do enough damage for today, or what? Do you have any follow-up?
Just wow.
Any comments out there? Any English, John?
I'll just have a look.
Don't forget to post the program before you go to sleep today, okay? Because today's a holy day, Saturnalia, and people, want a diversion from the Santa Claus.
Yeah, I know. It automatically went to unlinked. That was the problem. So I just had to make it public after it processed. So I apologize.
After all, you wanted to know, so somebody out there wants to share this today with somebody when they're not working today. That'd be a good time to get it out there. Copy the link, or I don't know if there's another way to share on YouTube. I never get into that technology stuff, but I'm into the ancient technology. But yes, friends can share with friends today. I recommend finding 10 friends today who want to hear this presentation, because you're not going to hear this anywhere else, ladies and gentlemen. You know it. Those of you who are listening in, you know that.
That was amazing. It was so like, it's mind-boggling and so awesome and so simple all at once. It's the truth.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't begin to express what it's like to be able to see these things, because I never knew when I went on the journey of discovery that the rabbit hole will go so deep. I knew things that I wanted to know, simple things like who am I, why am I here, but then and then when it all begins to unfold, it's like the scripture says in I don't know, it's a Revelations, if I can remember the scripture, there's one of them is there's nothing unknown that cannot be known, and there's nothing in secret that cannot be revealed, but that the love of the Father for the things that He's prepared for us. I'm doing a lousy job trying to remember the scripture right now, but that the things that He's prepared for us, we can't begin to imagine.
Yeah.
The knowledge, and then the love, and the connection with Him.
Yeah.
Like we're connecting right now.
Yeah.
The connection we can have with Him that will unfold with the ability to have a vision and to see things that you've never seen before. Like I go to use the restroom, and all of a sudden, by the time I'm washing my hands, just because I'm thinking about the story of Joseph and what happened to his father, the absolute betrayal by family, because that's what happens to us. You see, we are betrayed by family. They're the ones who are supposed to love us, our flesh and blood, and then they become our worst enemy. Strange friends are better, than our family at times in this world. It's the story about life. And so to absolutely know that you can know all the great mysteries of life, that it's revealed through the nature, the symbols. That's why He said, where there's no ability to have vision, where there is no vision, the people perish. That means the ability to read what is actually in front of you, because everything is a symbol in nature. A house, a road, a light, a tree, an animal of any kind. A bird is a spirit. A snake it represents us. We're of the earth. When He cursed the serpent, He says, of the dust of the earth you will eat. Well, isn't that what we do every day? Don't we have to eat the dust of the earth in order to live?
Yes. That's where our food comes from.
We have to eat dirt every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. When he cursed the serpent, or he cursed the aspect of what happened to Adam and Eve, He wasn't mad at Adam and Eve. What He was stating was the nature of where we were. And so when He says you will plow the field with the sweat of your brow, but the field will bring forth thorns and thistles. What He meant was He wasn't talking about plowing the field. What He was talking about, when man is making love to a woman, it's like the act of a plow, right? Planting seed into the earth. And that He says, but you will plow in hope, but instead you are going to bring forth thorns and thistles. Your children will make you cry.
Wow.
Your children will make you unhappy, because you plow in hope for having a beautiful life and a beautiful interaction and relationship, but in the end, you're going to find out that this earth brings forth darkness and pain and suffering and betrayal and regret, and they want to say Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Nothing merry about it when it's the feast of the Saturnalia, and more people have been tortured and killed on this particular day than any other time of the year.
Yep.
Yeah. So I hope these gifts of enlightenment will go around and help people better appreciate what they don't want and what they should want.
Yeah.
And the enlightenment, it goes around.
Yeah. I hope that too. Yeah. I want, especially today, it's now yesterday for me. Just because Christmas Day represents death for me as well, with Dad dying on Christmas Day. So it means a lot. Like, I really hope this helps. I really hope this gets out there to someone who needs to hear it. Yeah.
But only represent the true parents. And so now today, on the same day, you get the picture of the greater scheme of things.
Yeah.
And realizing that our parents were symbols of something greater. Because where it says to honor our father and mother, very often our parents are not honorable. You're fortunate you had a father who really loved you. But very often our parents are not honorable, but yet we have a primordial parent, a parent that we have to honor and to love beyond anything else because he made us. And therefore, he knows what's best for us, and all we have to do is listen and follow the trail. He wrote a book for us. All we have to do is read it, and we'll find our way back home. And that's the beauty about the story, Ninja. So if there's no further follow-up or questions with anyone, then I guess I'll head on out. We went over time today, but it's good for today to have done that and to try to create pictures so people can see and read it for themselves. Right?
Right. Thank you. Thank you. It was amazing.
All right.
As usual.
All right. Okay, so then I guess we're still on for tomorrow. It's 9, tentatively 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Every morning you've been doing it with us, with me.
Yeah, I'll try not to be late. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll look for you then tomorrow morning, and just everyone be safe out there. Know that the psychopaths running our world love to use holidays, and so everybody should really consider where they go, especially in public places, because they use those places for their staged events. It's not going to be. I don't think 2019 will be a pretty year. Time Magazine had a black page on it for a while until they put another picture on it, but it looks like this may coming 2020. Glenn Keely up in Canada, who also reads the code like I do, but different from a different perspective. He reads Shakespeare, the code in Shakespeare. He says the reason that they say when you have perfect vision, it's 2020. He said because they wanted the occult to remember that when we get to 2020, you will see everything perfectly. So we got one more year before we get to 2020, and 9 is the number of destruction. So 19 is not looking good, and they just committed mass genocide in Paradise, California. I don't think they're having a happy holiday right now in Paradise when it looks like at least half the population may have been subject to genocide and not been able to escape. 50,000 people didn't drive out of town. Not even 20,000, I don't think. So literally, they're getting away with mass murder right in front of us. Nobody's talking about it. The people in town here that I've asked passively, did you know about Paradise? They didn't even know about Paradise. Burning, let alone the fact that it's a genocide program coming to a neighborhood near everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we need to look up. We need to realize we're not of this world. That's the good news. And to make our connection with the Father of Light and dedicate every moment of every day towards getting closer to Him, because that is the only way back home.
It is.
So Ninja, thank you so much, and I honored to see your spirit continue to grow, and you come from a great challenge, and I have as well, and we're both having victory of light. So let's keep it up, and I'll look for you tomorrow again, and we'll play it again. All right?
Okay, and one more wow. So yeah. I'm just giving you another wow. Yeah. Anyway.
All right. And we'll yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Just thank you.
All right. Be safe, and we'll talk to everyone later on.
Okay.
Have a safe day out there, everybody. Bye bye.
Bye, Desert. Okay, and that was Dezert-Owl, and that was amazing. Again, it gets more amazing each time. Yes, the material world is pure distraction. Yes. Guys, love you guys. Let there be light. Shelley, yeah, love. Wow. Okay. I obviously have no words. That's why I let Desert play host. Okay, so I'll see you guys later. Be safe, stay warm or cool, wherever you are. And same time tomorrow with the Forbidden History Chronicles. Okay, see you guys.